Mr. President, as I mentioned earlier, it's Thursday afternoon, and it's the time I get to talk about an Alaskan who has given of themselves in order to make my state the great place that it is. We call this person the Alaskan of the Week. I like to come down on the floor. Now, I'm not going to take a poll, but I think it's the Pages, one of their favorite speeches of the week, because I get to talk about Alaska and what's happening there, and somebody who's really made a difference, whether in the community or in the state or maybe even the country. So when I also like to talk about what's going on in Alaska, because I'd love to encourage people to come and visit our great state. So right now, what is going on in Alaska? Well, sunset time is approaching midnight in many places across the state. In Anchorage today, the sun officially rose at 5:06 a.m. It will set at 10:42 p.m., but that twilight starts at around 4 a.m. and ends at about midnight. So the midnight sun is burning bright all across Alaska. And in the summer, we're hit with this frenzied energy because of this beautiful midnight sun in the sky. You'll find many of us up late playing softball, doing yard work, fishing, painting houses, talking to our neighbors. So it's a great time to be in Alaska. I urge everybody here in the gallery, come on up. The presiding officer also has a great state to visit, state of Florida. So you go down to Florida and then you take the 4,000-mile trip to Alaska. You'll have a great time. Make your travel plans now. But Mr. President, as you know, what makes my state or your state truly great is not the hours of sun it gets, and your state does get a lot of sun too, or its glorious mountains or sparkling seas, all of which we have in Alaska in spades. It's the people who help build strong families, strong communities, strong cities, and a strong state. And the person I want to honor today, Mr. President, is Anchorage Police Officer Angie Fraize as our Alaskan of the Week. Now, I think it's very appropriate that we're celebrating our police forces across the country, all across America. There are many, many thousands in D.C. this week because they are a force for good in our communities, and it often goes unappreciated. You know, Mr. President, I got to speak last Friday at the Anchorage Police Memorial Ceremony. And it was a very somber event. We have a big memorial there of all the first responders, law enforcement officers who have been killed in the line of duty in Alaska over the last 100+ years. And as I mentioned at that, all jobs are important, no doubt about it, but there is something special, something noble, something even sacred, I would say, about a job that entails protecting others and putting your life on the line to keep your fellow citizens safe. So this week, I thought it would be fitting to honor Anchorage Police Officer Fraize. She is more than one of 400 sworn police officers, brave men and women, who keep the 300,000 residents of Anchorage, Alaska, my hometown, safe. So let me tell you a little bit about Officer Fraize, what makes her so special, and why my friend and fellow Marine, Anchorage Police Chief Justin Dahl, recommended her as our Alaskan of the Week. Officer Fraize was raised in Butte in Palmer on 12 acres of land, but she did not have an easy childhood. She grew up in a house with no running water or electricity. Her father, unfortunately, was an alcoholic who died in a car accident when she was just 12 years old. So her mom raised her and her brother by herself. Her mom was a tenacious, hard-working mother, a characteristic she clearly passed on to her daughter. She worked her way through college with her 2 young daughters, and at the age of 40, she got her degree at the University of Alaska in education. This is Officer Fraize's mom. You see where she gets her good genes. Times were tough, money was tight. They often had to shower at the university. The car was always breaking down. They always struggled to make it, but they always did make ends meet. a family struggling, but barely making it. But none of that dimmed Officer Fraize's dream of catching the bad guys, a dream that she said she has had since 7th grade. She graduated with honors through high school, worked hard, was able to attend the University of Washington when she was only 16 years old, so real smart. Her first job out of college was a residential youth counselor working with adolescent sex offenders who had mental health issues. So right away, she's in the law enforcement area. When her husband was offered a job with the Anchorage PD, she decided at that time that she too wanted to be a police officer. Officer Fraize has had various duties in the 12 years she's worked as an Alaskan Anchorage police officer. She's been a patrol officer, a coordinator for the academy, and now she's a recruiter, particularly focused on recruiting young women and spreading the word about how great APD is. So, if you want an adventure and you want to come to Alaska and you like law enforcement, give her a call. All the jobs that Officer Fraize has had required empathy. Her life experiences, she said, has given her that empathy. Chronic alcoholics, she said, don't wake up every day choosing to drink. People who act badly, don't wake up wanting to be bad people. The trick, she said, is to listen to people, to find the connections, and to see the humanity in each individual. She's also incredibly passionate about connecting police officers with the people they protect. So she chairs the group called Cops for Communities in our town of Anchorage, where the police officers interact with the public in positive ways at coffee shops, at community council meetings, at public events throughout Anchorage. This gives the community a chance to interact with officers in a positive way. It also gives police officers a chance to get their fresh perspectives from community members. On Tuesday, for instance, the cops and firefighters got together for an eating relay at a local barbecue restaurant in Anchorage, and members of the community came out to cheer their favorite police member, the fireman. And the proceeds went to Special Olympics Alaska, which is another passion of hers. Officer Fraize is a great champion of advocating for those with special needs. She and her husband, Matt, have 2 daughters, Talia, who is 14 years old, and Gianna, who is 10. Gianna has Down syndrome, and according to Officer Fraize, is the most popular girl in her 4th grade class. No surprise. Officer Fraize is chair of a local group that advocates for individuals with special needs, and she's also involved in the Special Olympics Law Enforcement Torch Run, a great event that so many in our community get behind. She was one of 50 police officers in America chosen to carry the torch at the 2019 Special Olympics World Summer Games in Abu Dhabi. She brought the torch home to Alaska, and she's giving it to Special Olympics Alaska this weekend at the 2019 Alaska Enforcement Torch Run and Pledge Drive, which is going to be a great event. So this is what Anchorage Police Chief Justin Dahl said. We are so proud of Officer Fraize's work at the Anchorage PD, and I believe the rest of Anchorage should be as well. She is the epitome of the public servant ideal that is the foundation of our relationship with the Anchorage community. I am genuinely honored to have her at APD upholding our most cherished traditions of community service. That's the Anchorage Police Chief. So, Mr. President, we are also proud of all our police officers and first responders in Alaska. We are so grateful for the work they do to keep us safe. We want them to know that we honor their jobs and their commitment to our community. We also honor their families. These are very tough jobs, and it's hard on supportive families when your wife or husband goes off every morning to a job that could involve risking their lives. So we want them to know, not just in Alaska, but here in the U.S. Senate, that we have their backs. So, to Officer Fraize, thanks for all that you do. We're so lucky to have officers like you in Alaska. looking out for us, and thank you for being our Alaskan of the Week. I yield the floor.